All right, Paperback Death Pile Nation. Here we go. It's Sunday night, and I just had to get one video in the weekend. So here we go. Red Griffins over Russia. World War II Russia as seen from the cockpit of a Heinkel 111 bomber, 1941. La Poesía del 50, the poetry of 1950s. Marooned, the most terrifying space novel ever written. Look at that awesome cover of that lost astronaut. A hair-raising story of 3 American astronauts trapped. All right. Here we go. Let's go faster. Here we go. Breakfast of Champions, beat-up version with holes in it. The Conversion of Chaplain Cohen, a hilarious adventure of a Jewish chaplain. Military transport aircraft. Vintage planes and stuff. The Little Red Book. Is this communism? No, it's an orthodox interpretation of the 12 steps. All right, this is communism. I found communism. Chairman Mao's quotations, his Little Red Book. I thought that this was like the Little Red Book because they call this the Little Red Book. The communists call that the Little Red Book. So here we go. China, Christian students face the revolution. Oh, they got a Chinese box. Let's see if it stays Chinese. Cry Justice, the Bible on hunger and poverty. Lucille Roberts, 14-day makeover plan. Okay. All right, we could all get a makeover. All right, let's see what we got here. Foundations in the Dust by Seton Lloyd. The story of exploring Mesopotamia. That's cool. More ghost stories. Penguin. One Night at Bourbon Annie's. What's going on here? This looks like a mafia kind of love story. I don't know. These are dramatist plays. We have 27,000 Aspiration Planets, part 157 by Sri Shimnoy. No, this is, I don't know, this is like guru stuff. The easiest way to realize God is either to cry helplessly like a child or to establish a God-surrendered oneness life. Okay, maybe I'll read some of these 27,000 Aspirations for Plants or whatever that is. All right, this is a play. Reckless by Craig Lucas. Toulouse-Lautrec, which is from the movie, he's one of the main characters. What's the name of that movie? Taylor de Chardin. This guy's a cool read. He's a Catholic priest, but he dedicated himself to kind of combining Eastern thought with Catholicism. Really interesting theories this guy has. Not exactly mainstream Catholicism, but interesting. Tarzan of the Apes. Awesome cover. Look at that. There we go. Gotta save the girl. Yo visité Ganímedes, el mundo maravilloso de los ovnis. All right, this is a book in Spanish that apparently this guy says he visited some planet called Ganímedes. I gotta look into this book. That looks interesting. Chrome Yellow by Huxley. This book's all messed up. Skirmishes, a play by Catherine Hayes. Rimrock Raiders, a vintage Western. He had his orders, wipe them out. Guidebook on the Long Trail from the Green Mountain Club of Vermont. All right, the Appalachian Trail, the Long Trail. I know my brother-in-law walked the whole trail. Eat and Grow Slender. Don't we all wish? It's possible. Discursos y Cartas of Fejado. I don't know who that is. El licenciado Vidriera y el coloquio de los perros by Zaragoza, by Cervantes. Okay, by the author of Don Quixote. The Hero Maker, a far-out book. That looks really interesting. I do not know what this book's about. Very interesting book. I don't know what's going on here, but very weird illustrations. That book that I looked into also. More Spanish. Entre Meses by Miguel de Cervantes. Interludes by Cervantes. Fishing. This book's beat up. A drama by Michael Weller. Andy Capp, Man of the Hour. I like this. Nobody reads these anymore. The newspapers just always have these. Organic Makeup, The Natural Way to Beauty. That's cool. I think people will get into that now. G.K. Chesterton, The Amazing Adventures of Father Brown. They made this like a Netflix series. All right. Ooh, look at this. A vintage Rex Stout. The Silent Speaker. The Corpse Talks to Nero Wolfe. That's cool. Dead Men Don't Rest. All right. We have a city map of Treviso. Anybody been to Treviso, Italy? Treviso. I'm sure it's beautiful. Never been there. Where the Boys Are. Why do thousands of co-eds flock to Fort Lauderdale? It's like an early spring break book. This is awesome. This is awesome. Physically, they come to get a tan. Psychologically, they come to get away. And biologically, they come to check the talent. But basically, they come to Fort Lauderdale because that's where the boys are at. Uh-oh. The fire book. All right. This book's messed up. John Christoph. Oh, this is an old book. A reprint of John Christoph. Don't know what that is, but I've sold it a lot. Assignment, The Cairo Dancers. These books are all marked up. Sam Levinson, Everything But Money. Freud's Last Session. Looks like it's signed by all the playwrights. I Am a Camera by Jean Van Druten. Hold Me by Jules Pfeiffer. A Prisoner and Yet by Corrie ten Boom. She's like a evangelist. When the Nazis overran Holland, Corrie ten Boom, her father and sister, chose to risk death by making their quietly respectable home a haven for refugees, much like Anne Frank's family. Oh, that's interesting. Strangler's Serenade. Oh my god, what's going on here? The killer was crazy about women. The girl had ideas. She ran past him to the front of the cottage. He heard her slam the door and lock it. Then she came back into the room. What are you doing, she asked. How am I supposed to get out of here? All right. We got more of this stuff. Dead of Night. Okay. John O'Hara's Hellbox, a collection of short stories. The Best of Wodehouse. Uh-oh, look, he's got the black eye. If you know, you know about black eyes. Started before you think. Wouldn't a gremlin have been more sensible? A Doonesbury book. Is Haile Selassie the Christ? No, just today I was reading a book about Jamaica, and this came up, so this is interesting. It's all Rastafari, this is all Rastafari, like, religious theory. This is interesting. It's really, I gotta look at that book. Edgar Casey on dreams. If you know, you know. The Sleeping Prophet. I would love to do a special, like, video on Edgar Casey. And when I picked up that book, I ripped off the cover of the prior book, which is actually a pretty important book, I think. The Dialectic of Sex, A Case for the Feminist Revolution. Sorry. It says poor condition, but I think I made it worse. But yeah, the Dialectic of Sex. This is like an important feminist theory book. And my camera is out of focus. I gotta refocus it. I don't know why it's doing that. Alright, well, I'm going to film in 0.5 because that's the only way I can get it focused. So here we go. Isaac Asimov, Lucky Star and the Big Sun Mercury. That's a cool Asimov cover. The Crime Federation by the author behind the fiction of The Godfather. Okay, that's cool. Keep It Quiet by Richard Hull, Penguin book. Cool Hand Luke, Unrelenting Savage, an impressive novel. Cool Hand Luke. They made that a movie, didn't they? The Water Splash by Patricia Wentworth, also a nice Penguin Green book. The Architecture of Humanism. This book is a famous work on the history of taste. Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Gremlins was a crazy movie to watch as a kid. The Mad Woman of Shalott. The Convertible Hearse by William Campbell Galt. Books have like silly stickers on them. A Cry of Players. Sorry, this thing that closes my camera keeps switching on. Simone de Beauvoir, Les Belles Images. So this box is kind of deep, or I'm going slow. The Night the Lights Went Out. New York Times, about the big blackout, I guess, in Manhattan. Masochism and Sex in Society by Reich. That's awesome. Masochism, the most frequent and significant of perversions. Freud. All right. Knights in Armor at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I've been to the Met. And they have awesome pieces of armor there. James Baldwin, Nobody Knows My Name. We got paperbacks falling all over the place. We got Religion and Life by Swedenborg, famous theologian. Zuman and the Sign by Charles Fuller. The 25th Hour, the electrifying story of a man. I wonder if this has anything to do with the Spike Lee movie. I don't think so. But the 25th Hour by Spike Lee and Jim Norton is an amazing... Is it Jim Norton? Well, whatever, Norton. Hit a great movie. Transit by Edmund Cooper. All right, they got an axe, a crossbow, a chick. I don't know what's going on here. Soon to be a major 20th century Fox movie. Okay, I gotta go find this movie. Transit. 4 from Earth, battle an invisible enemy. Okay. That sounds like Predator, right? We had this book before, a humanist book. We had Muscle on Broadway. All right. They cut up the bootleg 20s into empires of violence. Okay, what do they got? Someone with like a cement boots they're going to dump in the Hudson? All right. That's cool. So we had a book on spring break, a book about mobsters. Perry Mason, Bigamous Spouse. All right. This is a famous one. Up Front by Bill Maudlin. It's like one of the famous World War II books. All right. Oscar de la Borbolla, Las Voces Malditas, the evil voices. Herbal Beauty Care. All right, this box had organic beauty, herbal beauty. All right, interesting. Venus in Sparta by Auchincloss. I've never read Auchincloss, but a lot of books by him. So, The Neon Wilderness. This is a famous book about Times Square, I think. About Chicago. Drunks, dope addicts, murderers, delinquents, bandits plot and speak their peace. The Neon Wilderness. Stories about Chicago hoodlums, drunkards, and prostitutes. That looks like an awesome book. Mickey Spillane, Bloody Sunrise. I love all that 70s like spy thriller stuff. 007 kind of stuff. The Dark Page by Samuel Fuller. Like a murder mystery, maybe? Les Regrets de l'autre ouvre, The Regrets and Other Poetic Works. I don't know. Ooh, Vintage Modern Library, leather. This is early modern library. Love by de Maupassant. We have Rhoda Fleming by George Meredith. A nice hardcover with green and gold. We have By Special Request, Andy Capp. We have Promising Young Men by George Sklar. Temptation and Corruption of Modern Youth. All right, like 50s James Dean kind of stuff. All right. Harvey Wasserman's History of the United States. Introduction by Howard Zinn. I saw a lecture by Howard Zinn once. Can't be still on a moving train, he said. Language of the Street and Other Essays by Quijano de Manila. This is a Filipino author. A Walk on the Wild Side, a moving novel by distinguished American writer Nelson Algren. Also the writer of The Neon Wilderness. Maybe we'll look into who Nelson Algren is. All right. Religio Medici by Sir Thomas, I don't know, some sort of theological book here. The Last Time I Saw Paris by Elliot Paul, a Bantam book. This is a famous book. I think it's about like pre-World War II Paris. I'm not sure, but I've seen this book in many formats. But that's an early version of it. Early Pelican book, Psychology and World Order by Raynard West. Ooh, look at this. We got an early Hemingway, Across the River and Into the Trees by Hemingway by Dell Books, D117. A real vintage early copy. All right, we're getting to the bottom of this box. This video's gone on longer than the last few. Light-Hearted Winemakers by Duncan Gillespie. The Dark Frontier by Eric Ambler. Look at that awesome cover of this Ambler book. By what is like a pan press? Is this pan press? No, it's a hotter press. Like Hotter and Stewin, that's just hotter. The last book in the box, To an Early Grave by Wallace Markfield. Whatever that's about. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. One more Paperback Nation video. This room isn't even the beginning of the pile. So I'll be making as many videos as I can as time allows me. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I'll keep making paperback videos. See you guys.